am joined here today with Rahkii, singer, songwriter, performer. Rahkii, how are you?
I'm doing great today. How are you?
I am so good. Thank you so much for being our very first guest on the Creative Ones podcast.
I'm the first guest?
The very first one.
Shut up.
When I was thinking of guests to invite, I said, who would be the best person to start this off with? And I was like, Rahkii has everything that I know to be a creative genius and just a mix of creativity. And so I definitely wanted you to come on and talk about this today.
Thank you.
No problem. So, Rahkii, you are a singer, you are a songwriter, you are a performer, you do all kinds of things creative-wise as far as music. I think that every creative in their life has a point where they decide, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
This is where I want to be in life. What was that point for you where it was like, this is what I want to do with my life?
Yeah, so for me, I've always been singing, and music has been a huge part of my family. So I grew up around a lot of musicians. My dad's a musician. Both of my brothers are musicians. And my mom, she sings just a little bit. She could scream, okay? So I always knew that music was something that I wanted to do, and I was singing before I could even speak, creeping people out, like in my crib singing. So I think I knew that I wanted to begin to perform when I saw like my first Grammy. I don't even remember what year it was, the Grammy Award show. And I remember doing the commercial, I got up in front of the TV and I started like dancing and stuff. And everybody was pissed at me. They're like, hey, move out the way, we're trying to watch TV. But I wanted to be in front of like the entire family while I was on, because I wanted to be on stage. I knew that that was something that I wanted to do. So.
Wow. So you... a little girl watching the Grammys, and so you see your icons and people up there that you want to be like.
And I don't even know if I like knew that they were. I couldn't necessarily call them icons. It was just people that I saw.
Were at that
exactly.
moment.
I was like 4 or like 5 or something. Yeah.
So it's at a point where you're young, you don't even know what you want to do
at all.
But it's something that interests you and it's something that just grabbed you. And I think as far as creatives, a lot of us, we have that moment where we remember what happened, but it doesn't really register to us about what was going on. I can remember when I first started even being interested in film, I used to love TV, watch TV all day. Everybody told me, you're going to get addicted to TV, you're going to have to wear glasses. And I never understood why I love TV so much. And later on down the line, as I got older, I'm like, I really, love doing this. And I can see how being at a young age, you start seeing people perform, and it probably didn't come into its full manifestation at the point, but it was something that was instilled in you just at a young age.
Yeah.
And I think that's incredible, because I think that as creators, it's important for people to share those stories so that people who are just now starting off can understand everybody had that area or that time in their life where they weren't sure about what they wanted to do. And it took a lot for you to get where you were.
Definitely.
And so I've seen you perform, I've seen you sing, I've heard your music. Tell me the essence behind your music. There has to be some special thing or some special mix of what is it that makes Rahkii's music Rahkii's music.
Yeah. So everybody who knows me knows that I am completely obsessed with superheroes. So my whole thing is like saving the day. Evil is here. We gotta, kill it. And honestly, even as a Christian, it's just like I believe that is what we were sent here to do, is to save people from danger, save them from like evil or even things that they don't necessarily have to deal with, mental illnesses and different things that may happen throughout the life, like unexpected things. And for me, music is an outlet for me to get away from those things, but also encourage other people to get away from the reality and all the hurt of the world, and even some, bad things or experiences that people have gone through. I think that the motivation behind it is giving people an escape. So just like you, I was heavily influenced by movies and TV too. And being younger, watching movies and TV, that was my escape. I was able to like go into a different world, and I'm like, wow, this is amazing. Making or creating something that would take people away from reality, even if it's like just for like a second or a few minutes, then, having to go back to reality, but having hope, knowing that, hey, there's a possibility that I don't have to like go through this, or I will make up my mind and decide that I don't have to go through this. I don't have to live this way,
So it's music, but there's more behind the music.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think that's what makes your music so special, is that you've developed a way to tell, and I've been on this, tell stories through your music. And it's not just about rhythm and rhyme and notes and harmony. It's about, my music is supposed to transcend somebody from where they are to another place. And so you've learned to develop as a creative how to make your music and take your craft to take people places that they probably never been before, and to feel certain ways, and to fix emotions, and to unravel emotions wherever they may be. And well, this is a side note. So what's your favorite superhero? Now that we're talking about superheroes, so I think we got to talk about it. What is one of those superheroes that sparks you?
One superhero or like
anyone? Favorite.
Okay.
What's your favorite?
So I started off with X-Men. That like changed the game for me. I was an X-Men. You couldn't tell me I was not an X-Men. I was Storm. What do you mean?
I was gonna say that.
What?
She's the only black character
she was the only
on X-Men.
Right?
So.
That was me. Like, you couldn't tell me that I was not. And even if I wasn't her, I was Rahkii, who was supposed to be an X-Men, but they didn't find me yet. You know, they didn't find me. So it started with that, but I grew a strong love right now. Spider-Man.
Which
is my favorite.
So Spider-Man, which Spider-Man? Because we got so many of them.
All three, and people hate when I give that answer. Now, my favorite is the second one with
Andrew Garfield.
Yes.
After Toby, so the two.
Right.
Okay.
Yes. So, and I get criticized about it a lot, but the story and like the fact that he is more relatable than all of them. You know what I mean? Well, than a lot that are out right now, but his story is just so powerful. Yeah. And even there's a quote, I wish I could remember it, that he said in the Avengers when Spider-Man, this is the newer one. Okay. Yeah. But they kind of keep the same spirit, with him.
I think the transition was good from, we had Toby for 3 years, and then we went to, the Andrew Garfield series was like two movies.
Yeah.
And I think most people probably forgot about that one. But then it being back with the Avengers, it's pulling the storyline back together. But I definitely agree with you. Spider-Man would be one of those. He's one of those superheroes that just has a lot of ethics to it. It's like, it's just pure and hard being, because of his age.
For sure.
He just wants to help. And I think that's, like you say, the motive of the superhero mantra of people is being there to help and to change lives.
Yeah. And he says this thing, he's like, if I know that I'm equipped with the power to save the world and I don't,
oh, wow.
Like, he was like, other people's lives are depending on me, so why wouldn't I, you know? And I think about that as a creative, like, if we have these gifts and we have these abilities to help heal people through, like, music, through art, visually, or whether it's, like, painting, whatever the case may be, we have the ability to bring healing to people. Absolutely. And if we don't allow that stuff to be manifested, all those things that are inside of us, then it's just like people's lives are on the line.
It's so important because, again, I think as far as creatives, and one thing that I try to let other creatives see is that your skill set is great, but if your skill set doesn't help or open up the door for anybody else, it's just almost like superheroes. It's a lot of power, a lot of skills, a lot of abilities that are helping no one because you're not using them.
Because you're not using them.
You can have them and they're there, and it's like, if you have super strength, you have X-ray vision. I got them. It's great that I got them. It's great that I know how to perfect them. I can control them. But if I don't use them, what good does it do for anybody else? And I think that's so key, that in thinking about that, I don't think anybody listening to your music would ever
think that
unless talking to you. Like, this music is supposed to allow you to see the stuff that's inside of you. Because I know you have two songs. So the first song I remember was Beautiful. And for that, most people think about that just glamorous. And it has that side to it. It's like, what you have inside of you is beautiful. What you are, your skills, your talents, your, whatever it is that you have inside of you is beautiful. And let that show. And let that be who you are. I think we get so wrapped up in the front-facing things of it, and carrying a facade around about who we are, exterior. And just opening up and just saying, my beauty doesn't have to be what you think beauty is. My beauty is my heart, my skill, my generosity, and who I am. So you talked about this a little bit, and I think because we're both believers, and growing up in church, I grew up in church. There's not a time I don't remember going to church. It's just the way it is. If I'm not in church on a Sunday, I feel like I'm in sin. So it's really weird not to be in church. But in church and growing up in traditional church, how have you? And I think you've just done an amazing job. Whereas you sing in church now, you lead a team, you do praise and worship. But Rahkii is not a gospel singer, so to speak.
Not.
You do not classify as a gospel singer.
I'm not.
How have you mastered And I don't, because the thing is, I don't think anybody cares. You know, there are some people, you see like Tasha Cobbs who did a feature with Nicki Minaj, and the
like,
world went crazy.
Right.
Rahkii can sing To Our God on a Sunday and then be at Freddie's another on a weekend singing So Crazy in Love, and everybody's like, go Rahkii, go Rahkii.
Right.
How have you learned how to develop your artistry to not be platform and restricted to just one particular place, especially when it comes to church?
I think number one, I was introduced to a lot of different realms of music and also different genres of music. So I was familiar with a lot of it, but like you said, like I grew up in church and, you know, like that was like the basis of everything. But I think that my comfort and stepping out of that and my ability to do that without any regret or any worry about it is learning Jesus and learning his mission. So in the Bible, like Jesus legit says, like, hey, I didn't come to save the ones that are already saved. I came to save the lost, you know? And when you save the lost, that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be seductive like they are, or you gotta maybe use profanity or something that they can relate to on that level.
Yeah.
But there is a way to create art, music that will relate to those people and that will encourage them and in hopes bring them closer to God.
And doesn't take away from their Christianity.
Doesn't take away from it.
I don't think what you do takes away from your Christianity.
No,
if I
at
go
all.
and I sing a Beyonce cover, it doesn't mean that, you know, I'm now on this this slow trajectory to hell.
Right.
It's a song, and what I'm doing is by who I am and appealing to what they know, I now build a relationship with them to open up the opportunity.
Yes.
If I ever have a personal conversation with them, to share the gospel with them.
Yeah.
And I think that's important.
And that's happened before, and it's so amazing.
Tell me about that.
Yeah. So I did a set at Lacuna Lost.
Okay.
It was just like a super like intimate, super chill. A lot of different people from Chicago were there, and from different backgrounds and everything. I sang Crazy. Chicago knows that like I'm known for singing that song. Like that's the song that they want. They'd be like, hey, appreciate your other songs.
If you do a set and I don't hear it, I actually be upset.
Right, people get upset, so they're like, no, sing it or whatever. So one of this night in particular, I sang it, and afterwards, everybody's just kind of like, woo, like, oh my gosh. So there was actually this girl, I will never forget this. She, I later found out, like, she's like a legit porn star, like a star.
Really?
Yes. And she was in the city, and she came to the event with like some friends, and she's like, I don't know what you did up there. And she was like, but I just feel something.
Wow.
She's like, there is something that I feel. She's like, I don't have the words for it, but you, and that was the perfect segue for me to introduce my faith to her.
Wow.
And it was amazing because I didn't have to say, everybody praise the Lord.
And altar call.
Yeah, you going to hell if you know what I mean, right?
Exactly.
It was just that because of who I am and because of who I serve, I don't have to necessarily throw it out there like that. And yes, I profess the name of Christ. Yes, I represent Jesus. But I think when we learn how to allow his presence to marry our creativity, then there's no way that anyone isn't going to experience that. No matter if they are an atheist, no matter if they are Buddhist, whatever religion or they've come from or background, they're going to experience something, and that just opens up like ways and opportunities to like minister or even evangelize.
I love that.
So, yeah.
When we allow God to marry our creativity.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Like, to think about, we have all this, he is the chief creator. He created everything. And we keep forgetting he created everything.
Literally
he just didn't
everything.
Create church. He just didn't create gospel music.
Yeah.
He created all of it. And down the, life, people have perverted it with different things. So R&B, pop, or whatever, why is there not an opportunity for someone to reclaim that?
Yeah.
And again, that's just so key what you said is allowing, if our creativity is not intertwined with our mission and intertwined with what God wants us to do, then we can be in a place where all our creativity is just a lot of just good ideas just being thrown out there. And there's no chief or there's no head to it. And you really don't even have any direction, because I feel like true creativity that is maintained by God's direction can go into any stream.
Literally,
it's not just one stream. He is a multifaceted God. He does tons of things. He's in arts, he's in movies, he's in song, he's in anything that we want to think about, he's in there. And if we don't allow him in there, how can he ever be instituted back into that?
For sure.
We always say, you know, they're trying to take God out of it, but we're not doing a good job of putting him back into stuff.
Yeah.
So you've been working on some projects. You have your two. So tell me about the 2 previous projects you've done. My favorite, and I listened to it on the way here. I was like, let me get myself hyped up. We all know Beautiful, and you can talk to us about that. But Zoom has been your latest project, I think, that most people are familiar with.
Yeah.
Talk to me, because that has a music video to it. And that music video is so dope. And actually, it was so funny. I was doing something, and someone showed me where you guys actually shot it. And I'm like, you guys shot it in this room? And they were like, yeah. But talk to me about Zoom and how that song, that music video came to be.
Yeah, so it happened, the idea of it happened after a church service at All Nations Worship Assembly. Shout out.
Really?
Hey. Yes. So it was, I don't know if you remember this, but there was this service where like Holy Spirit came in and we were all floored. Nobody was on a chair. Everyone was on the floor. It was crazy. And it was a 1 p.m. service.
Okay.
And we just stayed there.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, this happened like...
I think I remember what you're talking about.
Yeah. So when I tell you, like, I felt a high that I've never felt in my life, that no drug, no medicine, no nothing, pharmaceutical, nothing could ever give me. And I've never experienced anything like that in my life. So it was so amazing, to the point where I really felt like I could conquer the world. Like I felt like if I jumped off a building, I was gonna soar. You know, that's how amazing. Like I wasn't crazy enough to do it.
On a straight creative high.
Yes,
straight high.
So my prayer was, God, I don't ever want to come down from this. I'm not coming down. Like, do not ever let me come down from this. You know. And the day after that, I woke up and I heard the voice of the Lord, and He said, "Meet me at Starbucks at 4:00." I was like, what? At Starbucks? Like, whoa. First of all, like, that was around the time, like, I was still getting familiar with the voice of the Lord. The voice of God. Yeah, because I'm visual. I'm a seer.
And He can give you a whole location.
I said, oh, okay.
Starbucks is showing to it.
I said, okay.
You don't know who's going to be there.
Listen, I'm like, it's a date, okay? So I ended up going. And when I got there, I'm like, okay, now what? I had brought like some books on the prophetic. I bought like my Bible. I had everything set up. And the Lord told me to open up my phone and go to the last message that one of my producers sent me. And it was a beat. And I was just like, oh, I forgot he sent me this. Like, I guess I'll check it out. Soon as I begin to play it, the lyrics literally became, and I'm like, oh. And I'm like grabbing like a pencil in Starbucks, like, Like I thought I came here for Bible study, but I legit came there to write that song to the beat. I had listened to it. You know, like I get a lot of beats sent to me.
Yeah.
And that was just a song, like the instrumental, I was just like,
not feeling it.
You know, not at the moment. But when I listened to it again, I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy. And those lyrics just came and flooded. So the Zoom part is about being on that high, being on a rocket straight to the moon. I'm in the sky. Yeah. Like, I'm not coming back. Like, there's nothing that anyone can say or do that will keep me from getting closer and closer to the presence of God. Even if it doesn't feel that same way as it did on that Sunday, I'm going to continue to make up my mind that every day I'm going to pursue to get closer and closer and closer and refuse to go down from that. Yeah.
It's amazing, because I don't think anybody... If would have known that. Like, people listen to that to get hype, and it's about going higher in the presence of God. And that's just amazing, again, how you have learned to take your creative skill and combine, you know, who you are as an individual. I don't think any of your music takes out who Rahkii is. Who Rahkii is in your music. It's not a a stage name, or just this is just, oh, I'm doing this, or I'm just coming up with lyrics. This is going to empower people. It is real life stuff. This is life story that you are sharing in your music. Yeah. Wow, that is amazing. So Rahkii, thank you so much for doing this. We appreciate you. Please tell me, do you have anything new that's coming up that we should be looking out for?
I have a new project coming out soon. I don't even know if I can say the title of it, but stay on the lookout, guys. Follow me on Instagram.
you can't give us a hint or nothing.
The name of I'll say it. The name of the album is called Capes.
Capes.
Yes.
Appropriate.
Yeah.
Of course.
It's
So we went from Beautiful, we went to Zoom, and now we're going to Capes.
Yeah, and this is an EP. This isn't just a song.
This is a whole
like
album.
An album. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So
definitely.
whole concept of it is like not needing a cape to be able to fly, but that's a whole nother story.
Man, that's gonna be so dope. Capes, be looking out for that.
Yeah.
Rahkii, how can people keep up with you and find out what's going on with you and everything?
For sure. Instagram, it's Rahkii, Rahkii. Facebook, the same, Rahkii. Twitter, I am Super Rahkii, Superrahkii.
Thank you so much, Rahkii.
Thank you
Appreciate
so much
it.
for having me.